try to hold on to it for as long as they can. They definitely have the arsenal to do it as well. Builds 2 legendary slurp juices, the overclock pulse rifles to terrorize everybody on the low ground, and that was just a sample.
And if you're any of the teams rotating beneath them, you have to have heard that pulse rifle up on height. You have to be very careful about the way you use your kinetic blades, the way you use your ODM gear. If you use your kinetic blade in a straight line, you are going to get beamed by Muzz. It is an inevitability. Aiden, trying to jump into boxes, needs to be careful down here in this metal box. Gonna get the time to heal. And right back on the offensive for him. He'll try and find anybody he can catch out.
Yeah, Cooper caught themselves out of position as he gets dropped in the blink of an eye. Cooper stuck by himself. He at least has a couple minutes to get the shields back, but it comes to an end regardless. Peterbot and Quanti, they find themselves at 2 eliminations, but still struggling to find the damage when it comes to Storm Surge. Barely above 40, but they're experts in their own mind. They know when and where to try to peek, to try to get the shots.
You saw them looking up at height. Dejan and Muzz aren't really pressuring them. And so we might see them make a play for it at some point. We know they like to play at times. They did it so well in the first qualifying week.
Even though they're inside of the bubble, they don't want to fall out. Meeting Epic well, trying to go to the front side of the zone. Very, very similar to the way Knifer and Bylaw are playing. But they're going to have to look back here eventually. They're running out of resources, running out of builds and time as well, as Quanti and Peterbot were able to find an elimination and a refresh of their own.
What a find. Upgrade on the shotgun. Slurp juice as well added. Bylaw and Knifer getting to work now. We know they needed a refresh and they find it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be one as fruitful as the one Peterbot got. And so they're still now going to be hustling and busting through the zone, but getting taken out in the backside. Knifer down to just 13 HP and a bit of time to get the minis off, but you've got to think, how much is it really going to do for him?
That's Muzz and Dejan again from the high ground. The damage from those overclock pulse rifles, but as we tune in, Peterbot going to be the one contesting it. We know Dejan just went down. Muzz trying to make a rogue play, but he gets swatted out of the sky by Peterbot, and the high ground has just changed hands at the perfect time. The last time we even seen this team in a finals lobby, they were taken over then too.
Peterbot is an absolute machine. What a shot that was. Can Knifer hit anything off that light? Dancing, dodging, weaving, and hitting down threats. Man City threats is down. That leaves Booger all alone. But for Knifer, the implications of that are huge. It gives him a couple more extra seconds, minutes maybe, even in this game. Can he stay alive? Enough mats just to block his back. Can he hit the shot to Poyo now? No. Eventually gets taken out.
Huge elimination from Poyo, trying to continue, and a siphon to keep him alive as Booga's looking for the same thing. Luckily for him, he has very, very little mats to work with, so he can at least shield some of the damage getting tossed his way. Quanti and Peterbot not taking that elimination in the high ground takeover lightly as they continue to put pressure down on everybody below. Booga trying to box himself up, running out of builds, running out of time as he finds somebody, hears them in front. He's looking for him, Levin. He's looking for him right now to pick up the elimination.
Booga, just one build remaining. It's going to come down to something heroic with the shotgun, but Epic, well, stops it from happening. And he's going to keep on looking for more. Down on low ground, so many teams above him. Going to move up, but there is a team on this layer just on the other side of this wall if he's not careful.
This is big for Epic. Well, we've seen them pick up the first victory last week as well in game number 1 to set the pace and the tempo, trying to do it here. But it's Squaddle and Nick who need that big day. They need that top finish overall. They get stuck. They get smushed towards the low ground, forced to use the slurp juice maybe a little bit earlier than they hope as Trashy gets dropped down at the right time to find that elimination. Him and Pump, they have to look for Peterbot. They spot him towards the high ground, but they go ahead and drop on the Squaddle at the perfect time, leaving Nick by himself. This is a full solo finish.
He's running into the zone. He wanted to see if there was anything on the flag, but there's nothing there for him. It's Quanti up above everybody else, and he has the slurp juice. He has some splashes to work with, and he's going to look for even more. Pump has found a medkit. Will he be able to get off in time? It looks like he will. He's going to pop it. 100 HP now. Quanti with the med miss and some chug splashes up against him, but Pump is slowly running out, desperately searching for anything else. His slap juice will give him a couple seconds extra, but it isn't going to be enough to take down Quanti.
They looked like they had every single heal in the game. Short. Booga quick to make that rotation. You hear him when he coaches a lot of these other players. He knows exactly when to kind of rotate first, knows exactly when to kind of delay himself behind, and now he got himself a spot. Not the ultimate high ground that he was looking for, but definitely above all the madness towards the low ground. Pops that slurp juice. Getting scared there, trying to figure out where Braids was positioned at overall. Taking a lot of damage. Not necessarily in the best spot, along with Agers, who lost Kanata yet again. We need a 48th place on the day, and honestly, 8 points so far. They're performing a little bit slower than I would expect, but they're definitely one of the teams you can never count out.
The problem is, even with how slow they may be performing, at this current pace, they're still on pace to qualify, right? So I'm sure they won't be panicking just yet. And we can't count Agers out yet. We've seen him do some crazy solo clutches in the past. Muzz and Degen, though, a second chance at life for them. Last game, we saw them up on height with pulse rifles. They couldn't quite hold on to it well enough. Now, though, they are going to start looking up towards it. They want to be the ones taking height this time round. And it looks like Braids and Visuals have been chopped out. I don't think they even realize it yet, but once they do, it's going to be a harsh shock for Quanti and Peter, but the team who we literally saw win the previous game, they are right now not looking too hot either.
Anthony wants to go back-to-back. Peterbot will need a miracle to perform. He tries to go up and over the zone here. You got to take note for a lot of these teams. Getting stuck on that ultimate low ground isn't where you want to be, especially with the different elevations that these players are going to have to go through. Even water on the other end of this zone, as Peterbot's going to go up, try to follow behind a lot of these players, recycle a lot of those builds as Bylaw and Knife are just trying to get themselves a spot. Braids and Visuals get knocked back down, but waste no time trying to build up that high ground once more.
Constantly getting chopped out on height, and they're spending so many builds as a result of it. You have to make these opportunities with the pulse rifle count. I'm not too sure why he's not even trying to hip fire. They're now finally opting to use the hip fire. It was ADSing a bit too much for a moment. But with just a couple wood builds left, if somebody looks up at height, there will be a chance to chop it, but the timing, that window is slowly ticking down as the zone gets smaller and smaller. Vert and Road King, they're not worried about height. They're worried about just staying clear on this mid-ground layer. Nobody in sight, having to use their mats very wisely. They're starting to run very, very low.
Zone's going to pull back, though, so a lot of these players are going to be able to recycle some of these builds, including Visuals, up until a certain point, because he wants to hold on to that high ground. And this is where it's more important than ever before for him to try to put down pressure from above. Don't let anybody look up. Don't let anybody know you're a solo, because in the blink of an eye, they're going to challenge it. One of those teams is going to be Muzz and Degen. Muzz's going to be the first player up, and instantly he makes the right decision on the side of Visuals to just concede. Don't fight for it. You still have more points to pick up, just like Edgy, as he goes in, takes down both Miro and Cooper to try to stay alive. He's going to get all that loot for himself. He's not really going to be able to take use of it just yet.
Backside of the zone, Edgy putting in that work. 6 limbs on this game. And if he's not careful, he'll run right into Vert, but with the form Edgy's in right now, he might just take him out as well.
Almost bone dry when it comes to materials, but at least he gets himself into the top 10. Luckily, Zone did pull back. He's able to recycle as much as possible. Byla and Knifer find one slipping. Unlike last game, they're hip to hip. They're doing it this time as a solo, and this could be huge and pivotal for their day.
But they need to start making more space, claiming more space on low ground if they want to be able to hold it. Knifer doing a good job. They have to drop down, start building, start claiming exactly what they will do now, and that's going to set them up once again really nicely going into these final zones. Threats trying to heal off now. Doesn't have Boogle with him, and the last of this med miss is going to be all he has to play out this game. Visuals down to 0 mats as well, and so it's going to be another game where he has to hit a big pump, and he's not even going to get a chance to.
2 for 2. The players with the overclock pulse rifles go down. Don't really get an opportunity to utilize it, as Threat's trying to fight into the backside of Zone. And this is where it's going to come down to the wire. Vert's just looking for where these players are attempting to heal off at, and Byla go ahead and ends the run, needing a big day. This is only game number 2. This is a way to start. Degen's trying to stop the heal off, but he gets cut short. Now it's up to Muzz. The first one's going to be cleaned up. Down to a 1v1. He's on the hunt for Knifer. Doesn't want to let this go down, but he gets it stolen away. Knifer secures the victory royale when they need it most. This is where they might look at this as a blessing in disguise, with so many teams forced to make a similar rotation. They're trying to use this as an opportunity to find some cheeky shots. They don't land any onto Macwood, and it cost them everything. Nick is going to go down. Squad was forced to use his last slurp juice to try to stay alive, left down to just 2 minis, and they still haven't even found any damage when it comes to Storm Surge.
Problem is, Jacob, we know at this stage in the game, it's so hard to hit shots for them. The best bet for you oftentimes is just going to be to try jump in. Well, nobody rotating in. There aren't those opportunities. Squaddles doesn't even have a kinetic blade to rotate in, so he's in the back of the zone, taking ticks left, right, and center. He's going to be left with 2 HP and eventually completely snuffed out of the lobby.
Mammoth Macwood just barely escaping a fight that they wanted no part of. But due to Storm Surge, sometimes you just don't have a say in the manner. Peterbot and Quanti barely above themselves, but being above is just enough for them as they kind of look down as the highest team in the ground.
And this is a game to watch for them in terms of, yeah, we know these guys are probably going to be playing in the grand finals. We've seen already today what they can do during the moving zones. Looking for height takes, chopping it down and building up. Can they hold on to it early on from first moving like we see some of the best height teams in all of the world do? For Moo and Scare, their job is to just try and get towards that zone, and you can see ODM gear being used to do that. Landing towards the front side, actually landing deep in the zone, tanking a couple ticks just to prioritize the position.
They didn't need a refresh because of material. They definitely need it now to try to pick up some heals, but with 28 points, it's going to be an interesting decision to make as placement itself is beginning to reward some players for staying alive to get into the top 25. As Visual and Braid get pressured. As you hear the overclocked pulse rifle become a nightmare for some of these teams. They're going to connect Blade to what they think is safety, but just like some of the other teams in the same position, if it's not Storm Surge, it's the lack of materials forcing some altercations left, right, and center.
Are you ever safe if Reet's on your layup? You can see now knocking on doors, nobody's answering, and they actually need Surge, just moving Surge right now. The games are stacked, the players need to start dealing damage. Reet and Epic Roll trying to rotate towards the zone, but they need to focus on hitting shots. This player's blocking them off, rotating in from congested side. So many different players in their way, and you're seeing how tough that rotation is. Epic Roll gets punished as a result. He goes down, Reet's just down to 17 HP, needs to use all the remainder of his heals.
Yeah, because the zip line, it caused some confusion, didn't really allow him to pop the slurp juice when he wanted. And he gets it just in the nick of time as Storm Surge almost taking him down, but he gets a second chance at life. And a shot being fired off the back of on one as Storm Surge deactivates. He's still under pressure from all angles. Huge shot being taken from the backside without any build, without any resources. He's really finding no other choice but to get to the first box he sees. Is on one under pressure from all angles. A lot of his build being expended, but with a dog being backed up in the corner, his bite is much bigger than his bark.
That's one of the longest duels you'll see during the moving zones. It felt like nobody was taken out. Muzz finally being taken down. Vert and Roke once again rotating through, but they're down so low on Bills. Gonna have to try and make a play very, very shortly. Quanti and Peterbot, they're still chilling on height, but Peterbot actually gets taken down. It just remains with Quanti. Booga's right beneath, and Booga's trying to go back up. He has the kinetic blade, and now he has the high ground.
And with Knifer and Bylaw going down very, very early on, first place opened up for grabs, and I spot a couple teams needing a big day. Scented staying alive here. He's stuck as a solo, gets chunked out in the backside of zone. He gets dropped. Booga losing threats. He tries to claim as much of the high ground as possible. He's trying to put himself in a position to where teams are forced to look up and try to find out if he's a solo or not. And he's escaped so much danger to make it into this point. Along with Adris, he gets pushed down to the low ground.
But you can see now the effects of the zone pulls, Jacob. The lobby has been so punishing to these players. So many max system pools. Nobody has mats. Everybody just relying on their shotgun, on their ARs. Barely surviving right now, Bucky. Just a lick of HP. One tick and he's out of the game. Needs the siphon to come through, and it will. 58 HP now. It gives him a couple more seconds to work with his own, but he has to try to drop this player down. It's Vert's there, and he misses out the player right beneath him. He just takes him out before going down, and Vert, with 7 in this game, he's putting the team on his back. He has the pulse rifles, and he has a 1v1 against Booga now.
There is no heals for any one of these players to really play towards the heal off, so the inevitable is bound to happen. With Booga low on HP, this is a play for Vert to make, and he goes up and steals away the game, tagging out Booga, sending him to second place as he claims all the glory, and the minis being expended, shields being broken. Even though players can't necessarily see the Storm Surge affecting him, they hear the shields getting cracked. Vert's gonna go down. Rokane doesn't find any better luck. He gets sent back to the lobby, and look at everybody see that loot in the distance, and they immediately pounce trying to take advantage. Wow. They really have nothing to work with here for Muzz and Degen.
Yeah, this is really rough. If anybody even gets a whiff of them, it's gonna get very awkward very soon. And they're looking to land on height. I don't know if that was the right play. Muzz getting caught out there and now down to just a 36 HP. Moo is gonna be on the chase, gonna be on the hunt, right in his box. Can he connect with a shot? It's just a box away. Can't find the timing. Can't find the opening. But when they do, they will pick Muzz up. It's Scare that does it. Moo just had to watch from a distance. But these are the players on height, the team that everyone has to worry about. And you can see they're spraying second height, spraying a team in wood. Maybe they should start focusing on the ones in metal. They're the ones that are a bit stronger. And right now, Forik actually taking down Scare.
This is where they need to start going on that run. They're just outside of the threshold they were looking for on the day. Bolts goes down. Getting a little bit too greedy here, but you can see their materials. You can see exactly why they try to make that risky play. With zone pushing in, a lot of the teams being forced forward. They're barely above the threshold. So this revive, they think it's a must to keep their game alive. They think they're going to do much better as a duo. And with that coming to fruition, you see the Medimist being passed. Thoric has to lead the way while Bolts does everything he can to heal.
Two shotguns are better than one, and that philosophy is going to be what pushes them through this game. Canada and Ages still alive in this one. Now going to use their blaze to move towards the front side of the zone. Very, very close to getting in there as well. Byler feeling some damage, dealing some punishment. And it's going to be Sid on the receiving end, using the last of his slurp juices. And now using his ODM just to try and get to a bit of safety, a bit of serenity. But they do have their eyes on Peterbot just above, and they have their eyes on the players below that they can get refreshes onto. Booga and Fretz now with that zone pull. Gonna look towards the front side. And you can see Booga just looking up and down as he blades, scouting out where they're gonna land. He finds the perfect position. And now maybe a chance to look up at height, see if anybody has control of it. It didn't look like there was anybody securely up there.
And with a misstep in the last game, Knifer and Byla have risen once more. But Thoric, we saw Bolt go down. He's unable to make it back into the zone. He goes down in 16th place, but they inch themselves closer and closer to what they were looking for on the day. Otis and Bucky, 5 eliminations so far. Booga and Threats, they're finding their way back, above, ahead of zone. They know exactly that anything is better than that ultimate low ground. You don't want to be stuck, especially with the natural terrains and the different elevations that are below.
Yeah, and we'll see with this next zone pool how they react, but currently playing on these high layers and playing it to perfection. Convict can come back though. Those players with the pulse rifles, we know anybody that has the pulse rifles in hand knows the opportunity, knows what it means. And it means high plays can be that much easier. The problem for Comeback is he needs to calm down for a second, right? Doesn't need to lose his bearings. But now that he has found some calm, found some peace, it will be right back up to high ground.
Don't call it a comeback because he has been here along with Convict, trying to make use of the second half of the day. Same with Byler and Knifer, trying to go ahead and make up for lost time. They go ahead and already secured their spot into the top 10. They just need to hold on to it in the second half of the day. You can see when it comes to HP heals, they are almost bone dry as the pressure from those pulse rifles are pushing them lower and lower to the rest of the players into the lobby. But for their efforts, they've at least inched themselves into the top 7 as Yuz does go down. Booga and Threats doing everything they can, but they're out of builds, out of time as they scavenge to try to find what they can. Threats gives whatever he has left on over, which isn't much, but Booga knows how to work with scraps.
It's barely siphoned. Madsen, there's a player in front of his face. He needs to start thinking about hitting a shot. He hears that player up above him, but he's going to opt to continue to go low. Sees a Vive in that box, wants to dodge it, moves back up. No materials left. Can he jump in the box? He's looking up. He's trying to mantle. Knows the team is there, trying to mirror them so he stays down, but there's a player right behind him. It's going to be Knifer.
Sid and Amish being pushed down lower to the ground.
Wow.
The beam gets caught out. Skittles meets that same demise. 2v2 situation as Sid takes out yet another one, but finally goes down. It's up to a Menace who stands no chance from Convict and Comeback and those overclocked pulse rifles as they steal the game from high ground. This is underneath their control. Using those pulse rifles enough for the builds. Make it that much easier as they continue to look for who's back there. That's Salco and Evo, but they're a few layers up. Tragic and Cease, a few layers higher than that. Everybody having these different elevations as they continue to try to work through the end game. Fabs found another elimination on their way, 82 points. A team that we're looking at here to perform on the day. They need 12th place overall if they're looking to keep the dream alive.
This is such a pivotal game for their season's hopes. Scented and Fabs. Both of these players have done it many times on their respective regions beforehand. They know what it takes to do well in games like this one. But these end games have never been so clutch, so intense. They need to make every single right decision. And initially there, the spot they choose to land in zone is a nice one. Season Tragics have built all the way up here to ultimate height. Nobody really looking at it. Everybody just focused on what's ahead of them. Everybody focused on trying to get into the zone.
There's only a handful of teams ahead of anybody that needs that top 12 spot. Acorn and Cold, they're just looking for a refresh. Don't have very many builds. You can see their heals are not looking so hot either. Shield is going to be the name of the game, but with Zone pushing them in, they're going to have to go. They're trying to be one of the first teams there. That way they can look back and find some comfortability. Scented takes a massive shot, but takes some storm damage. That way he can pop the slurp juice. Fabs does the same, but instead of fighting this fight, they're just disengaging. They know how important survival is, and with top 14, there's still so many placement points left on the board.
They need to get themselves up around in that 120-point range to get top 12, and the limbs like that are going to send them right into that trajectory. Need to be careful. There's a team waiting for them right there, but they're able to create the space and get out of the way. These guys are going to talk for their lives. Scented leading the way. He's done it so many times. Madden back deep into the zone. Those floppers will definitely be useful in someone's hands late in the game. Will he be able to make use of them? Going to get into zone build and would and use that med mist up as well. But this journey continues. He can't stay there for too long.
Without this game really going to heal offs, Storm Sickness really isn't a worry. The players can stagger themselves in and out of zones as Chris finds another elimination, taking out Larson. Him and Spike's run come to an end as we get ourselves into the top 10 as they continue to look down, backside of zone, trying to find anything that they can work with. It's Epicwell and Reet, even though they have everything in the world and more when it comes to loot and resources. They're just trying to stay ahead of the game. It's all about bragging rights, practice, setting yourselves up to be that legendary team you know you can be, as Acorn and Cold become the target with those pulse rifles, surviving on an inch, as Epicwell and Reet are now forced to rotate.
Those guys aren't on height, but they have so much power in this lobby. Tragics and Cease are starting to run incredibly low. We saw how many materials they committed to build up for height in the first place, and now they're feeling the effects of that. A very far zone pull to finish out the game, and so it's going to get real intense for them, as they're going to probably have to start dropping down and thinking about taking a fight. When you do drop down, this team's going to be here waiting for you. It's Reet, it's Epicwell, and just below them as well, it's another powerhouse of the lobby of the region. It's Acorn and Cold. These two teams are going to come colliding at some point, and that time is now. Acorn and Cold are the ones ready for it. They're the ones hitting the shots.
And it's Yuz out of nowhere who was able to land that first shot, really separate Epicwell and Reet and allow for Cold and Acorn to take over as we inch ourselves into the top 4. Everybody is duos except for one player trying to keep his hopes alive, as Acorn and Cold have full control of the low ground. Yuz and Chris, not ultimate height, but they're trying to escape through on that middle layer, but they get tagged up. Yuz gets dropped, but that's going to be a trade as Cease gets taken out as well. Chris, even though he has the knock, he's unable to get the Siphon to go through. That's Tragic who takes another player out.
Tragic's getting some revenge as Cease was taken out moments ago. But in this fight here, it's so hard for him really to do anything against Acorn and Cold, who look so strong. Epic, what you've got to think will fall eventually. He does, and it doesn't even seem like Tragic's had much HP to work with at all there. It will be a nice... Let's take a look at that again.
Another question pops into mind as he lands a massive shot on the Kanata and back-to-back. That one is definitely in your FNCS top plays for week number 3. That they can at least confidently rotate from one zone to the next, but they end up in another team's box. They're trying to shoot their way out. Sid gets under pressure. Another shot from the other side. Aminish is dropped and left by himself, but he even takes a massive shot from the side. That was Byla as a solo, taking up huge points and a huge amount of loot that he just scavenged up.
Yeah, he didn't see it coming at all. Sid got caught unawares, and Aminish gets punished for it now. That duo is out. But Byla, as a solo, still making things happen, still making plays. Back to the form of some of the previous games and scouting out now which path to the next zone will be more ideal. He has an idea and he has the timing now. Fabs and Scented, they're going to make their timing. Trying to stay underneath that height team and landing towards this front side. Elevated layers, they want to stay away from all the congestion down beneath them.
Avs bringing his elimination total to 4 overall. Even late into the game, making some cheeky plays, hunting them down even after he found that first one. Under pressure from the stacking, he knows exactly how to disengage. It's the perfect placement for Sentin and Favs as they're just trying to go ahead and scrape their way through. Pressure from the high ground. They see threats into the distance as well as they're just trying to eye and think about all the options they have for this next rotation.
And it's Keyboard and Poyo above them, applying that pressure. They saw the metal they were building in and they said, we got to deal with that team. They have way too many mats for our liking. But Sentin and Fabs, they just have to stay cold. They just have to stay alive.
Wow.
For the rest of the lobby, it's so hard to stay alive when Poyo's hitting shots like that. Oh my goodness. It's like an aim trainer for him right now. It's a practice session. It's a practice run. Myla sent back to the lobby. You cannot give Poyo that kind of room.
Now I know why Booga at the start of the season was thinking about playing with somebody like that. May not be the biggest name in the scene, but now you know why. He's making a threat to be so, as Bolt and Thoric still need to hold on to their position here. More points for them to grab if they're looking to skip on past Surge Week and book their ticket directly to Grand Finals. Cold and Acorn find Chris out of position. He's sent back to the lobby. So many teams' luck has now come to an end as we get into our top 15s.
It's getting so intense. Scented, tarping through these mid-ground layers. Tell me how many times you've seen this happen. You've almost got to think at what point is he going to start looking to drop to low. That's where he's always been the most comfortable. The materials are running low. It's going to be just left of wood soon, and so that time might be coming at some point. Keeping an eye on all the players on these different layers. That could be a problem for them, and they're finding refreshes. It's Fabs, he's looking, hunting, fishing for more materials. He's already put in so much damage, so many bigger limbs in this game, and he's looking for even more now. You can see them lurking here in the backside, waiting. They know there's gonna be players here they can capitalize on.
Zit too. Both players on the right side of your screen. Fabs, Scented, looking for a top 12. Bolts and Thor looking for a top 32. Definitely still have more points on the board, and their job is not done as Miro gets taken down. Poyo and Keyboard still putting pressure down from above. Cooper is the target in their line of sight right now that's taking a lot of that pressure. Aviv trying to kinetic blade from the backside of zone. He only has a sliver of HP to work with, but Hope is still alive.
Zone number 12, the final zone of the qualifiers of NA, and you can see Fabs is putting on a show for us. Another limb. How many more is he gonna get? He's following Scented like he's followed no other. He's staying right by his side and making sure that shotgun is out and ready to deal damage where necessary. These guys aren't leaving anything up for chance right now. Drop down now. Scented falls. It's up to Fab. Can he stay alive? No. Just falls in fourth place. Thoric and Bolso, they're still alive. We know they needed a big game, and a big game's what they're gonna get. Thoric going crazy, going nuts, but can't quite pick that one up. He will fall, and it's Acorn and Cold. Once again, how many times will they stay alive here?
And it's basically a 2v1 situation. Keyboard is down. It's all up to Poyo. He has no heals, so he must fight, and he must go against the previous NA champions, and he gets taken down. No chance being given by Acorn and Cold as they seal the deal in the final game of the day.
Needed. Now they are in that top 10. But we won't know if that was enough, because remember, they are fighting to just get into Surge Week. They had to make that